Hello there, everybody. This is ShadowGear6035 here doing a review of Decibel, or Decibel. It was not my... I originally was going to call her Decibel, as in like an actual like sound decibel. And then Elira was like, why don't you just call her Decibel? They get a pun. And I went, oh! And that's perfect. So her name is Decibel. So like it's like Bell. Whatever. So this is a very interesting mock and a concept I've had for quite a long time and finally made. I originally had the idea of making a mock that was based around radio and like radio equipment, which is my major, technically. Well, video is my major, but radio is a part of it. And it wasn't until I finally started to have my own personal radio station on my campus and started to have my own show is like, it was the final push for me to, get, the show rolling on this mock, and it allowed me to get a mixer. It made me interested in doing that, so I can do things like this, and all that kind of annoying stuff. So, yeah, and the personality of her, grew and grew as it went along. Her personality, story-wise, she's one of Circuit's sisters, and there is a bio actually posted for her on different social media. She's Circuit's sister. And she's like one of many, and her whole thing is like, communication. And she was just designed to be like, this radio transmitter, like kind of a medium between all these different transmissions and, act like that. She was abandoned, and then she awoke somewhere, and she was like trying to figure out her new land. And she's like, I feel like doing this. And so she remodeled herself to be like kind of a Twitch, like YouTube gamer. And she realized like, oh, my original face of like this ugly Cyclops face, which is her original face, flip that around. Oh, here's more of like my show face. And she goes on webcam and does shit like that. No one can tell that she's just this giant monolith of, no one can really tell she looks like that because, well, I don't know, man. You can see from the neck up, like most Twitch girls. So I don't know. I think it's interesting. The full bio is below, so if you want to give that a read, you're welcome to it. So as you can tell from the previous pictures, this is a really odd-looking mock, and I think it looks really cool. In terms of how I'm going to cover it, I'm going to cover it from the neck down, or not the neck down, from the base up, and I'm going to show the ring separately. I'm going to show her separately, and go into details on certain decisions on why I made the mock the way it is. So let's start with the base itself. So this is kind of the base, and the whole idea of this is like she's going to be like mounted to the ground. Or she could be mobile, but like she's mounted to a ground to a specific place where she can transmit shit. So kind of like, having like an Ethernet cable always plastered to the wall type of thing, but this is to a much greater extent. And it was a combination of that idea and like a radio tower, and like a bunch of cables all mixed up, and this is fairly messy. This is a fairly messy look, and I kind of like it. I mean, it was cleaner when I first built it, And then as it progressed, like things started to get messier. But I like it. I think it's a cool little thing there. If I had a turntable, this would be a lot easier, but I do not. So whatever. But it's just this like mishmash of all of these random colors, and I'll get to the colors when I get to the body. But this whole idea of all the cables wrapped around, I think, is a super like cool idea, and how it all wraps around into one big central base, and then the ring, which again I'll get to the ring. So yeah, I like this. I like how it looks. It was fun kind of weaving all these in, and as you can tell, some of them have disconnected over time. But I also haven't bothered to really go back and fix that because I really don't think you need to. I mean, she does kind of look run down to begin with. She doesn't have to look completely fancy. I don't know, man. That's the base. There's nothing particularly crazy going on with that. Let's move on to the ring and what is around the ring to take a look there. Ring around the rosy. Oh, by the way, for Rasha K and Elira, because you guys are so bothered by high quality dust, I think that looks better. So upon adjusting some things and straight up removing decibel, you can get a look at like the central thing here. It's a bunch of connected system bits. Something funny. I didn't realize this mock was going to be primarily a system mock, but it just happened that way. And I feel like a lot of my stuff's turning out to be like that. I don't know. It's weird. But sorry, just a little aside I had in my head. Oh, I just noticed something. Oh, that looks bad. There's that whole section right there. There's a whole section right there that was just straight up disconnected. That looks fantastic. I'm gonna fix that. Okay, that's better. So this whole central column piece that everything's connected to, and all the weights kind of like put onto here. Yes, I know there are two little yellow bits right there. No, I didn't really bother to change them, and no, I really don't care all that much because one, it's kind of hidden, and for those who do notice it, I don't think it's really that big of a deal. Insert critique of why you posting unfinished mocks. I don't know. But one of the biggest challenges with this ring design in general is how to connect it. Like this whole, it's a dark gray, well, not dark gray. Well, it is dark gray, but it's the old color of dark gray, like back from the early 2000s before dark bluish gray, which is also another color in this mock. The color doesn't really match for most of it, and I could make a lot of the mock have that color of that old dark gray color, but I tried. It looked a little bit messy. I don't know. The colors in general in this mock were originally a mess, and I do have some work in progress pictures I'm going to be putting up somewhere soon. But man, the old colors on this didn't look all that great, and they arguably still don't look all that great. But I don't know. Again, we'll get to more of the colors on Decibel when we actually review her. But for the ring, it's pretty interesting. So the main way to connect this whole thing to me was by using these kind of triangular Technic pieces and by putting some spacers in there to kind of latch that in. And the way this is all connected, for the exception of these back pieces here, are the way it's connected is by taking those and kind of friction them in there. And they can slide across here like a rail. So if you see this monitor that I have over here, you can slide that, although it's kind of caught on something. But you can slide that piece around, and this mock used to be a lot more modular in that regard. Like it was, I had that idea, and then I had the idea of like, hey, why don't I just make the mock have like different sliding rails and stuff and make that cool? And the thing that kind of killed it for me was, one, I decided to add too many monitors, but I still think the look looks really cool. The stability is the greatest thing. So if you can tell here, the stability of this mock is held up by three main sections, which there's a fourth one. I didn't want there to be a fourth one, but there is. Are these three main Technic beams here. And there's also these two little axles here connecting that, making it structurally stable. The mock is kind of heavy. So I tried to add counterbalances to the back so the front wouldn't be sagging down, because the front of the mock has all these monitors and all these different little bits here. It weighs it down. Like if you can kind of tell in some of the pictures, this thing's kind of slanted forward a little bit. But yeah, the structure of it is a bit annoying, and that's completely on me. But it's also like this wheel isn't necessarily a uniform length for studs or axle length. Like, if I originally had it planned to where I would have these two beams go directly like across from each other, like one diameter, simple and set. Well, that doesn't really work. I could try and make that work with certain system pieces, but in general, it doesn't allow it. Like the width is not there. It doesn't exist. So I said, okay, I'm gonna have them slanted a little bit and add this third one here. I'm like, okay, that works, but the mock is still front heavy. So what I did, I didn't want to do this. I added this kind of thrown together beam on the bottom here, which isn't the most stable, but makes the mock look a little bit more balanced. And it's I don't know. Maybe it's because I don't necessarily have the skill in order to do it. Maybe it's because I didn't feel like putting the effort into it. Well, that's not true. I did put a lot of effort into this mock, but yeah, it's kind of a bummer. And you know what? The look of like this beam with a giant ring and a whole bunch of stuff on top of the ring, I think that looks super cool. It's just I don't know, man. It's a bummer how the construction came out. Even though it does look really great, it does look like a mess. And having all this stuff on top is really cool. It also still makes it look even more of a mess. I guess while I'm here, I may as well talk about the thing that a lot of people critiqued me on. So this back section, I didn't know what to do with, to be honest with you. Also, this little piston piece is for stability on Decibel herself, so that kind of ignore that for the time being. But yeah, this whole back section here had a couple ideas. I thought of putting some more equipment in the back. I thought of using maybe like a green screen by using these panels here. And it just none of it looked all that great. Nor did I really feel like... I guess in this regard, this is the one mock I really was lazy... Part of the mock that I was really lazy on. Where I'm like, I just want to add some sort of backdrop to her. Instead of adding more equipment all the way around. Instead of her being completely, not protected in the back. And I also had another idea where she would have, like... Her whole back of body would be, like, black. And it would resemble, like, kind of like, an office chair that she would lean back in. And I thought, well, that's still cool, but it still makes the mock look really front heavy. Like, whether it is or not, it makes it look like the mock is so front heavy, there's nothing in the back, and it looks distracting in that regard. So I just wanted to put something behind her. And since I changed her color scheme to primarily tan and dark gray, a black backdrop really works. The design is okay. These slope bits here, for those who are interested, it's supposed to represent baffling. And baffling is this kind of noise cancellation thing. You know how some people want to do noise cancellation stuff for recording, and they nail like egg cartons to the wall? This is actually more of a professional material. It's like a foam you can buy in packs, and you can put it on the wall, and it does the same exact thing. So I try to replicate that, and I think it looks okay. Would I have liked to do more? Yes, but I didn't, and that's completely on me. So, whoopee. One of the things that I think came out really nice on this mock is the microphone on this nice arm piece here, which is very posable. In fact, you can tilt this down. This can collapse up to a degree. Fold this back up. The friction in which this is used to connect them by using 2x2 round plates and these little turntable pieces here. It can be fragile if it's turned in the wrong way and it all just disassembles, but it's still a sturdy connection, it's been proven to. And this head here can tilt down, tilt up, very similar to how an actual microphone arm works, and I'm very proud of how this came out. Also incredibly happy that ball joints here come out in silver. So that's a perfect little piece for like a microphone. Like, I think that looks cute, it's nice, it swivels here and all that stuff. Boop, 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 boop. 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 I fixed it. In general, I think it looks cool. It can go up to her face a bit. I'll show a bit more of that when I reattach her to the base. But I think that's a cool detail, having that. Next detail I want to point out are the monitors, which are... They're originally designed to not be able to swivel and not be able to change, just slide around the rails. But I changed it so you can actually see more of her. So you can take these... swivel these around, and now she has straight up monitors. One small detail I do want to mention, yes, the keyboard is very silly. It is very, very silly. These are just a bunch of random tech details over here. You can see better shots of it in the pictures in Flickr or in the slideshow earlier. I tried to make a faux keyboard here. It's okay. and then I have WASD for video games. I originally put in the effort to think of like this three-tiered keyboard like this and have like a key for every letter and number. I was going to do that, but one, the small Lego store set that those pieces came from is one hard to find, and two, buying the letters individually would have cost me like 10 or 15 bucks. And I did not want to do that, so I decided to just be lazy with it. So the keyboard really isn't that much of a major detail anyway. It's just kind of there. I don't know. But the monitors, I think are cool. I like that you can swivel them. I like that they can go in and out like this. I like the connection and how they're built. I like that I used like a round frame for the monitor. I do think that's pretty rad. If I can zoom in just a bit more here, you can see there's white behind there. That's just a piece of paper so it doesn't look completely black. But I just like that it's like two halves of a build and then they're connected together by a couple pins. And this one's slightly different because it does have the camera here, which is pretty cool. The monitors are fine. If I really wanted to put the effort in and make like different little graphics on the inside here to make them look like that, I could have done that, but I chose not to. I'm sensing a theme with this mock. Take a guess as to what it is. But the monitors are cool. I think they came out really nice. Last major detail on the wheel that I want to cover is the sound mixer that is included here. And I was very quiet for a moment because I'm balancing on knees. But yeah, again, just a bunch of random details, little tape deck there. A cool feature that I added is that you can take these little gain level dudes here and you can pose them. Well, not pose them, you can just move them up and down. I think that's a cool little detail there. I just keep them in that position because I really have no real purpose in moving them. And another little cute thing that I added to this mock is that this little dial here that's on the side is an old piece from, I don't want to say there was Construction, but it kind of was. There was Construction Zurg and Buzz Lightyear set they were system made. They were bricks, but there were some construction elements in them. And this was the little web piece that was on Zurg's blaster. And so I used this as kind of like a volume thing. And it's always, maxed out to 11. So that's kind of cool. I like that small little detail. In general, the ring is the whole crux of this mock. The ring is a matter of, hey, let's make this. That was the whole thing. I wanted to use the Hailfire droid ring for something constructive, and I thought making a mock with no legs and just making this giant base would be a really cool idea. And I did it. And do I have some misgivings as to how it's built? Yes. Do I think the concept still really holds up? Yeah, I think it's really cool. I think I could have done better. I think in general this mock could have been better. But something that I am fairly proud of, and I really want to show off now, is Decibel herself. But I don't know why I'm doing this on camera. I'm just being a silly bun, and I just fell off. So here's sorry. Decibel herself. She's looking pretty okay now, but once I kind of zoom out here, you kind of see this weird-looking humanoid-looking thing. So again, I start from the ground up as I usually do. So I'm going to start from the bottom here. This is not a part of the mock. I'm just using that as the stand, which thankfully enough came with Akita, the creature of water. So I'm just using that for the time being. But if you've noticed, she does have an extra pair of arms here. And these arms are meant for her to actually use her computer with. Like use her monitors and type on the keyboard and adjust things. So she uses these hands primarily, and these other hands and arms are just meant for her to emote and just be like, oh, ha, ha. So it's kind of a funny thing where it's like, oh, hey, you're not a real gamer because you're not playing the game. Your hands are in the air. But she's playing it anyway. Again, I like Decibel. I'm sorry. I keep interrupting myself with this. But I like Decibel because of her concept, the idea of her, the colors. It's all great. This mock could have been better. And I like Decibel a lot. And I'll mention at the end, I do have an idea for a revamp of her. But I'll get to it. Anyway, I'm sorry. I keep interrupting I'm apologizing to myself and to you, the fans. But yeah, in general, I like the extra pair of arms. I think using these mixer joints here are perfect. I like having the tan on the side. This here, it flows. I mean, if you look at it from the back, it kind of looks a little bit messy, especially all around back here and the back of the arms. But the front, where you're primarily looking, it's okay. The little arrows here on her hands, I think, are a cute little detail. I was originally going to use them for the keyboard design, but I scrapped, going in detail with the keyboard, so I just put them here. And I think it works. I think it's cool. It's kind of like always have the hands facing down so you can type. Dum dum. This main section here, I think I had a good idea going with it. I think it looks cool. I does think it looks messy. That sentence didn't make any sense. But I like the way this whole little section here is built. I think it's nifty looking, if not a little bit fragile, especially because I can just pull this piece off here because it's only connected by one stud and not even all that great, frankly. But I don't know, I like the midsection here. It is certainly posable. I mean, here there's a ball joint here at, I guess, the waist. I mean, this is technically the waist, but this is kind of like an abdomen crunch, I guess. Like, this whole torso section is elongated to begin with, so it's a tad bit awkward. But this whole little section here, I like this. And I'm going to talk about the colors because I keep alluding to it. The colors of this mock were tan, dark gray, light gray, and black. And a couple other colors mixed in. And a lot of the colors, it looked messy. Like, I didn't really color block on this mock originally all that well, and there are still some remnants of it. So I had to pull a lot of the colors out and then put some stuff back into it to make it look a little bit more clean. Because originally it looked more like a junkyard, like scrap mock, like kind of a scrapyard mock. And I tried to make it look a little bit cleaner. And in some areas it looks better, especially like in the arm and torso section. But for everything else, I don't know, this whole bottom section here, it's kind of a remnant of that. But the shaping is cool. The shaping and the posability is really nice, even though you really can't get to the lower arm section when she's in the ring. But it's fine. I think it looks really cool. For stability, I did add this extra little piston bit here for her back because she was wobbling around quite a bit, like she is now. So I'm going to try and stand her up straight. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that works out. It was really funny when I uploaded this mock and someone just said, wow, this looks like a face. And now I can't unsee it. Like, this looks like kind of like a cool guy, like, like sunglasses, like big blocky nose and a tiny mouth, just like, it's kind of silly looking, but I want to keep it because it just looks silly. I like the way it looks. But this whole torso section, I think it's rad. I think the way it's built is very nice. I think the shaping is good. I do think it's a bit of a mess in the back, but then again, I wasn't focusing on the back, more so just the front. But this whole torso design is kind of a variation of circuits. Because I wanted to make a mock that was, small-ish, so she could fit inside the ring, and I based it off of Circuit's body, which was part of the inspiration of making her Circuit's sister, because the build is kind of similar in the torso. Because this is a variation of Circuit's torso design, just kind of widened out and bulked out a little bit. So, like, the connection here internally where this abdomen is about the same as Circuit's, but then it goes into other things, and then the shoulder width is about half an axle wider on each side, so that's also part of it. But this whole detailing here I think is cool. On the back, like I said, it is a bit of a mess. I wanted to add more antennas, and a critique I did get on this mock, which I think is a really cool idea that I can't believe I never thought of, is to add like the tip of a radio tower to the top of this mock as like maybe a weapon or like a spear. Like, that's awesome, and I actually want to incorporate that at some point. But yeah, the back here is a bit messy. Whole torso is okay. The arms, though. The arms are pretty cool, if not a little bit messy. So the design of the arms, these giant panels here on the side, are representative of like these long vertical kind of accoutrements you would see on a radio tower. So I wanted to add that to Decibel. And I think they're cool. They can swing here. They're attached by little pneumatic, little T-bar pieces like you would use for hands. So you can swivel them in and out. You can also adjust right here, but I usually just keep them in the one place. The ones here are standing out a little bit farther than the ones in the front. Truthfully, because I didn't have the parts to. I didn't have a 2x6 plate and tan. I only had 2 of them. man, I'm sorry. But yeah, I think it looks okay. I like the fact that whenever she's like enraged or whatever, she can like kind of have these all flailed out and crazy. But that's kind of cool. But this whole arm design is based on circuits. It's all system built though. So this upper arm design, kind of a sloped, kind of not sloped. I meant to say slope and curved, but I combined them. That's silly. And then the lower arm design, nothing particularly special going on here. I do like the fact that I add this cord here. It doesn't really add any purpose, but it does give it a little bit more character to her. But I like the build of the lower arm design. I think it looks kind of cool using these little backpack pieces that you would normally see on minifigures, using that as detail. And then the hands are just straight up circuits hands. I feel like if you're making a smaller MOC, I like using these smaller style of hands. So I do like having this slope piece with this little cap right on there. And then on the other hand, I did add like this little kind of speedometer piece right there. That's kind of cool. I like it. I like the look of Decibel in general. But one thing I'm super proud of, and I think this is outside of the microphone and maybe the mixing table, the thing I'm really proud of is the head design in this character. So as I mentioned prior, this is her show face. Like, this is the face she uses when she is like, hey, I'm performing on webcam, like my face can't be totally ugly, so here's more of a cool form-fitting face. And I like just like the big round mouthpiece here. I like having the orange, and using the orange as the accent, like eye color was based off of like, oh hey, on any mixer you find in a radio station or like home use ones, they always have bright orange LEDs, so why not use something like that? So I think having something like that is cool. I like the headphone thing I had going on. I originally had kind of a band going across here to actually go with the headphone thing, but I decided to go with more of like an implied, like, she's wearing headphones, maybe she doesn't really need to have a giant band across her head. But I like this, and it's actually more of a stable looking build. I mean, that's something I could post a how-to on, but it'd be a little bit finicky, I don't know. But this was the second part of the head, because I built this part of the head last. The first thing I built was her original head, her more kind of Cyclops, more oriented to Circuit's head, where it's this kind of fancy looking Cyclops looking thing. And if I do end up making more sisters of Circuit, they're all going to be Cyclopses, because I have a thing for Cyclops robots. I don't know, man. But yeah, I kind of like the weird mandible look here in the front. I like having these shovel pail like handles here as detailing right there. In general, I think this head design is really great. I think having either head design on display makes her look super cool. So yeah, there's that. I think Decibel as a whole, just this little torso section with tiny arms and all, I think I knocked it out of the park with this version. I think just this is great. The wheel could have used work, or the ring, rather. But before I put everything back together, there's one more thing, or rather two more things I want to show off. And here is one of the small drones that I gave Decibel. Because I had the idea of giving this MOC drones, because if she's stationary, she needs some form of eyes. Like, she would be contracted to be like, oh, we need you to be like a news reporter, or need you to be like, you know, a weather specialist, or whatever the hell. And we need you to go out there and get footage. She can't leave. So she builds drones to be her eyes on the outside world, and she captures that footage. And that's super cool. And this is totally based off like a real world drone. And not to toot my own horn, but I'm actually fairly proud that I used these Rotuka spinners as the actual propellers. And the way it's connected is that you take one of those small like gray pins, small gray pins that's like a really loose connection, and it has like the kind of more of like a raised stud on one side and a normal pin on the other, and you can just kind of force it in there and it works as a propeller. The camera design itself is nothing particularly fancy. It's just supposed to get across that it's 4 propellers with a camera on the bottom. And then there is the other one, which is a different build, because I thought it'd be cute if they were totally different builds. And there's no names for them, although I think would be cute if there were names for them. I just didn't give them to her. But I put them right here on the top, because it does add that thing I wanted. Like, it does add the, let's make the back look more filled in, let's not make her look so front heavy. And in fact, by adding these drones here, it makes this whole area look back heavy. And using these clear rods here also is a nice bonus. I mean, you know they're there, but you kind of get the effect they're just floating. So if we want to get the complete look here, let's put Decibel right back in. So as a complete package, I think Decibel. I mean, look at this. Like, it looks like a massive mock. It looks positively monstrous in its size, and it is fairly large. I mean, if I had to bring someone else into here, well, what's something I can grab from my desk? How about a can of compressed air? How about my phone standing on a Wii U stand? How about that? That works out. How about Gundam Build Fighters Try Easy SR? That's something. I don't know. She's a fairly large mock, and I think a lot of my mocks are nowhere near as playable as they used to be. Some of them definitely are, but some of them aren't. And I think this is one of these mocks where it's like, this looks totally cool on a shelf, but don't touch it. Don't touch this mock, because you would have her oriented in a particular pose. I basically made a statue that can pose, but not all that great. I don't know. And I want to revamp her and give her legs. Like, do a thing of, like... It's weird how I'm doing the review for this now finished mock that I've been working on for like 5 months, and now I'm thinking about the revamp already. Where I'm going to give her legs, and she'll have like a computer monitor like attached to her waist, and like still have maybe like a tiny switchboard in her arm, and still keep one of the drones. Like, something more in line with what Circuit's design is. But I don't know. Like, I think for now, I love the way this whole setup looks out. The drones on the back, with the microphone that you can kind of angle towards her mouth. The switchboard she can like reach for and adjust things with. She can have her Cyclops head. She can have her show head. Like, there's a lot to this mock, and for the people who don't necessarily like it because, one, it's system, and my fan base is primarily people who just like Bionicle and CCBS mocks, which I get that. But, and also because the mock in general just looks kind of messy and kind of slapdash together. And in some areas, yes, but in a lot, I've grown to really love this mock and appreciated it for the time I put into it, and I recognize its faults, especially since I've uploaded it like maybe a couple weeks ago. And I'm okay with it. I like Decibel. Decibel's cool. I'm sorry if this has been rambly, because I don't have the most concise thoughts on this mock. But I'll tell you one thing. When I put her on the shelf and I look at her, I go, you know what? That's a really cool looking mock. And I think that's all I need. So, yeah, this has been Shadow Gear 655, and I hope you all have a good day. Bye-bye! Hello there, everybody. This is Shadow Gear 655 here, adjusting this computer monitor because I see a blue pin hiding. And I fixed it. Hello. Oh geez, this looks super gross in here. I probably shouldn't show it from there. This little slope is not in the right place. It's now in the right place. I mean, you got this. Put the robot in the ring. 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 Mission complete. Robots in the ring.